So, this one's gonna be about making money and actually quite a lot of money. So, 230k per year, working 3 jobs, and a 24-year-old is able to do so. And it catched my attention. It was from the CNBC Make It site, and it is a pretty amazing site, for all kind of self help articles and just in general articles that might be a little bit like motivating you, maybe to do something new, to do something more or whatever. And this is also what I'm trying to do here, because maybe we all are able to do so. And then I guess, I don't know, 230k per year is definitely quite a good living, I have to say, or at least at my point of view. But more after the intro, like always. More after the fucking intro, as always. I do actually have to kind of stop swearing such a lot, because I'm having my A levels in half a year or something, and I've actually asked my teacher if it is okay when I'm swearing there, and she said nah, it is not. You shouldn't swear there. And therefore I just, I asked myself well, maybe I should just stop swearing when I'm doing the videos, But, the thing is it making them funnier if I'm swearing? I don't know. Maybe. To some degree. For some people. Maybe. But, yeah. I'm just gonna keep it like it is. I'm not gonna force myself to swear because this is also dumb as fuck. But yeah. Just before I actually start with this article, this particular episode is also available as a podcast, which means that you can listen to this particular episode as well while you're doing something, which is a pretty efficient way to consume what I'm going to talk about today in here, which is just a really great way, if you're not having such a lot of time, and especially when you do not have as much time as you maybe need for going through a 20 to 30 minute video here, which I definitely can assume, which is definitely something that I can understand, which is something that really makes sense for me. So please check out the description and just look for the podcast if you do not have the time to go through such a long video. Thank you. But yeah, thank you. It's amazing. I just wanted to show you this article and now it's gone. And here it is. So this 24-year-old first-generation American, which is something that seems also to be pretty important, apparently, first-generation American earns 230k per year working 3 jobs. So it is definitely important to point out that he's working 3 jobs. It seems also to be the case that there is a video. Maybe it is just based on the exact same story. So the link to this article is definitely going to be down in the description and also in the show notes if you're on a podcast. So please check it out, if you want to watch this video. Yeah. By the way, this article is by Alicia Adamczyk or something. Well, yeah. So this story is part of CNBC Make It, its Millennial Money series, which profiles people across the US and details how they earn, spend, and save their money. Ask Alex Sanchez, who many points the Dow is up or down on a given day, and the 24-year-old can give you an update that's just as good as if you tuned into CNBC. Well, the West Chicago resident is a bit finance obsessed. He watches YouTube videos on budgets and investing, tracks his net worth on a whiteboard in his bedroom, and aims to save more than 7k each month, which is definitely something. It is something. In addition to his full-time job as an overheat lineman at an electric utility company in the Chicagoland area, he has 2 side hustles to help him pad his savings account and investment portfolio. Sanchez has big plans. He's a fan of the FIRE financial independence of the FIRE. And FIRE seems to stand for Financial Independence Retire Early community. I'm do really having kind of a problem with that, especially the retire early point. The thing is, most people do want to retire early because they're not doing something in their life that is actually making them happy. At least this is what I have figured out. At least this is what I see relatively often, unfortunately, in the world, that a lot of people are actually working on something each day for 8 hours. It is an incredible amount of hours, actually. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, maybe even. And it is quite some time, and those people are working on something that they are really not passionate about. And then, of course, I would like to retire really early if I'm doing this as well. But I do not want to retire early when I'm doing something that I actually like to do and something that I'm really fucking passionate about. Let's just talk about authors, authors of books and whatever it might be, maybe also plays for theater and whatsoever. They don't retire, they really don't think about retiring because they're doing something they like to do and even love to do. They are passionate about what they're doing, so therefore there is kind of no need for them to retire, at least it is not on their mind. But apparently it is actually the case that a lot of people want to retire really early. For me, I wouldn't like to do that, because I do just like to do things. I like the grind. I like to do things. I like, grind, quote unquote grind. It is such a trendy and kind of bad connotated word. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The thing is, I don't know. I really wish that I'm going to do something my whole life long that I really love, and I'm not really thinking about retiring. And I'm like 18 years old, which is not really too young, I would say, because he is 24. Like, there is not a big gap between 24 and 18. It's still 6 years, of course. It's still 6 years where the thing is, I just think about 6 years, where could I be in 6 years? And I do really hope that I'm still doing what I'm doing right here, even though on some days and in some episodes, I'm really not happy with what I'm doing. Like, some episodes are just really shit, and it's not a lot of fun when you kind of, so after you've stopped your episode and you kind of realize that the episode was quite really shit, and of course I could edit it, in a way that I just really feel good about it. But the thing is, editing, in my point of view, is only just a way to make it better. It is not a way to make it good. If it is shitty, it's still shitty after you've edited it. Most often, because then, at least for me, this is just my situation. When I kind of feel like that one episode is really not as good as another one, it is probably about myself, and because of myself, because in this episode I wasn't just really energetic, or I wasn't really kind of able to speak pretty well, which is something that happens, something that really happens sometimes. But yeah, in this episode, by the way, I'm pretty happy, I'm pretty happy with how I'm doing up to this point, but we are just only 7 minutes in. But yeah, so it seems also be the case that they wanna, or he wants to be a millionaire by 30, which is definitely possible. It might also be possible for me. I don't know. But he's not just interested in his own financial future. As a first-generation American, he's also planning to help his parents, who immigrated from Mexico and met in the West Chicago area, retire comfortably one day. I have to give back to my parents because they came here as immigrants to give us, their kids, a better life, Sanchez tells CNBC Make It. I know all the sacrifice and pain that they went through, and I would stress it's my duty to give back to them, which is actually a pretty great goal, and I think it actually provides him like a purpose for his life. First of all, just being rich, just retiring in an early age, or at an early age, and also giving back to his family. It is just really something that I can also think about. Like, it feels great, or it must feel great, being able to kind of give back to your parents just really a lot. Sanchez says he grew up lower middle class, and while his parents provided everything he and his brother Oscar could need, they also often missed events like his baseball games because they had to work, which just makes sense. Like, it really makes sense. Investing and saving a significant portion of his income has become a way for Sanchez to ensure that he has the flexibility to choose how he spends his time. Should he have children of his own one day, he doesn't want to miss out on Little League for work, and he wants to make sure his parents aren't tied to their jobs forever. And he says, I have to give back to my parents because they came... Oh, I've already read that. So what he earns, let's skip actually a little bit. Sanchez's income fluctuates monthly depending on the number of overtime hours he works at his day job and how much business his lawn care company drums up. He recently got a promotion at work that puts him at a base salary of $120,000. 100k. So just somehow, so it's like 120k and $656. With a 10,000 annual bonus, 10k annual bonus, and all of the overtime he is accrued, he's on track to earn more than 200k this year. So it is only just his day job, and he's making 230, which means that the other 30k must come from his business, I assume. And like, to be really frank now, we are having 200k. Let's talk about 200k. 200k divided by 12 means 16 fucking k a year. I'm sorry, a month. It's how could you possibly spend? Still, I do have to say that sometimes living costs are pretty high in the US, also in my place. But in the US, it is something different. Let's, for example, kind of just talk about New York. Having a one fucking bedroom just costs, I don't know, 3k, maybe even more, 2k. It is definitely really, really, really expensive. I've seen at least, But the thing is, how could you possibly spend 16k each month? There are still people that are doing this, and they're buying quite a lot of fancy shit, and they're buying quite a lot of stuff they actually don't need, unfortunately, which is something that really kind of fucks with me as well, because no, don't do it. Save your money and save it up for something that is worth it. Whether it be a house, whether it be a car that you just need. So in general, I would say just things you need. But 16k or 16.6666k, which, let's say 17k, it is definitely something. It is definitely a lot of money, at least at my point of view. Sanchez dropped out of college, so he does not have student loans, which is amazing. The utility company he works for paid for his training, and he often works Monday through Saturday, typically 60 hours per week, depending on the company's needs. If there's a storm or something else goes wrong with the utility wires, he's expected to be on call. He will also occasionally travel to help areas hit hard by storms and other emergencies. So on top of his day job, he brings home an additional 3k per month on average from his side hustles. Sanchez runs his own lawn care and snow removal company, which grosses around 9 to 10k per month. After expenses including taxes, salaries, and other overhead, Sanchez earns around 1.5k per month, though it varies depending on the season, obviously, because if it is about snow removal thing, then of course in the summer it's not going to be just a pretty good thing, But he's still having his lawn mowing thing, which seems to be working, which is amazing, If he's really passionate about that, it is just a pretty great thing. So with his side hustle income, Sanchez is on track to earn more than 230k this year. His goal is to keep growing that total each year as he adds rental properties to his portfolio and moves up the ladder at work. I mean, 230k, it is just such a lot of money. It is really such a lot of money. And how he budgets, because the thing is, something that you probably have heard as well, and something that other people have probably also been talking about. It is not really about how much money you make, it is more about how you spend it and what you're spending it on. Because obviously, you can make 100k a year, which means you're having, I think it's, what is it like? I don't know. I always look this shit up, but I always forget it. 8k a month. You could spend 8k a month relatively easily on on things. Yeah. Just wanted to say something, but I don't know if I can actually say that. But yeah, you can totally spend it on clothes and eating out and all the shit that you actually don't need. You can easily do that. It is really fucking easy, But you could also just not do that and save quite a lot of money over the course of a year, and probably you're able to save 50% of all your money. It depends, if you're living at home or not, what your expenses are, if you're having just some pets or whatever. But yeah, let's actually see how he budgets, because this is something that's really interesting, even more interesting than how much he actually makes. So here is a breakdown of everything Sanchez spends in a typical month, which is really interesting. It is actually a graph here, it is not a graph, but it's a picture Is it a pie chart? It is a chart. It is a chart. This for sure. How could I possibly be doing this right now? I could zoom. Yeah, I could zoom. I can zoom. It works quite fine. What the fuck? He's spending $96 on his fucking phone. It's quite something, I have to say. Like, I'm spending $10 each month, and it is still just way too much for me because I don't know. Like, I would like to just not spend as much on it. But yeah. Then subscriptions, $103. He could also budget on this a little bit more. Housing, $250. Transportation, $295. So gas and whatsoever. Food, $400, which is, I think, fine, I guess. It still depends on, what you're buying and such things, obviously. Robinhood, which I guess it is just for his parents, I guess, $1K. So it's totals up to $9.9K each month. Which he's spending on various things, and by the way, the subscriptions are Audible, Netflix, Gym, Pick Money, and the Epidemic Sound Library. So maybe he's also having some kind of a YouTube channel. Could actually be the case. So he's saving 7.8K per month, which is something. And then business expenses are 8.8K, and then there's other things like mortgage and then whatnot. And they then break down what it actually is. So business expensive, I don't know if that is too interesting. So Sanchez aims to save 7K in cash each month and contributes 800 to his 401K. So right now he's prioritizing building up his liquid savings so he can buy more rental properties. His goal is to amass a portfolio of 20. Oh, it makes sense, I guess, especially if you're, the thing is, once another German, YouTuber and businessman and whatnot was talking about just renting houses, or just, you as the owner of the houses, just renting them to other people. And he said, to actually be able to live off of that, to live off of the business of renting things, you actually need to kind of spend, $1 million or $500,000 on property or on houses and real estate, essentially real estate. So it's quite a lot, that you have to spend on those things to so until you're actually able to live off of it, which is really interesting and which was really okay for me, because I always thought I gonna buy myself a house and I'm gonna rent this and then I'm gonna have 5K a month or something, which could definitely work for a house in a good area, in a good place and whatnot. It is definitely possible and it's definitely working, but I don't know, a house is expensive. A house really is expensive. And, when you think about actually going in debt for that, if this would work, I guess I haven't calculated it yet, at least not just really kind of in detail, but it could somehow work. At least in my area, first of all, and at least also just how I'm thinking about things. Let's say you're just, I don't know, you're just getting, I think it won't work. Actually going in debt to buy a house, it just would be way too much. It would be just more than $1 million or something. You wouldn't be able to actually pay that back, even not with what you get from the house. But it could I don't know, if you're trying to just kind of amass money for your children and for other generations after you, then I think this would work to some degree, because, you could just get in debt for that and then just buy a house, rent it, and then just wait until you die, basically, and hope that you're going to be able to pay all the money back so that your family is getting the house and all your children is getting the house. And so they just have 3, 5, 6, 7, 10K a month additionally from the rental house or the rented house. But I don't know, I don't know if this is something that's realistic, if this is something that people would actually do. Yeah. Robinhood, because this is actually something that's relatively interesting. Sanchez is very interested in the stock market and eventually wants to start day trading. On top of his retirement account, he's he invests an additional 1K per month using Robinhood, an investment app. Right now, he has more than 17K in investments in the account. I was never really taught how to manage money. I just knew my mom saved money and she would always tell me to save, he says. And I think it isn't even a bad idea. I think saving money is really not a bad idea. I guess it is even a pretty good idea. Now let's actually talk about food, because I said like $400 for food is quite something, and they've actually structured it, and also, they now tell us what he's spending those $400 on. Outside of his business savings and investments, Sanchez tries to spend less than 1.5K per month on personal expenses, of which food is his largest spending category. He doesn't eat out often, though occasionally he and Rosie, his girlfriend of 5 years, will go into the city of Chicago to enjoy a date night, costing around $100 per month. He cooks most of his meals at home, spending around $300 per month on groceries. I don't know, like the thing is, like, I don't know, like spending $300 on groceries each month, it is something. It really is something. I really have to say, it still depends on what you're buying. If you're buying a lot of organic shit and if you're buying a lot of unnecessary stuff, but I think you could actually be able to lower that amount, to lower that amount of money that you're spending on groceries as well, even though I don't know, like, I don't know if it is actually only the groceries that he and his girlfriend are consuming, or if it is also the whole entire family, like his parents as well and whatnot. So I don't know. Like, it sounds a little bit too much for me, but I also don't know where he's living or what the prices are in Chicago like. So yeah, I know it's pretty difficult to say. It's really difficult. Let's also talk about financial independence. There's way more. There's way more in this article that I would like to go through, And this is, by the way, going to be an episode that is going to be released when I'm in Amsterdam with school, And I guess this is then going to be released, and I would really like to go more than just what I went through. I'm going to link the article down in the description so that you can also go through it, because they're also talking about what experts think about what he's doing and whatnot, and also how he intends to reach financial independence, which is something that I'm willing to go through relatively quickly right now. So Sanchez wants to become a millionaire by 30. He plans to do that by building up his real estate business. He wants to acquire 4 new properties each year for the next 5 years for a total of 20 units. That passive income stream coupled with his saving rates and other investments makes him confident he will reach his goal. I definitely encourage other people to look into real estate, he says. It is something that technology will never be able to replace. People always need a place to live, no matter what, even if the economy is bad. Not everyone would want to operate 2 small businesses on top of a 60-hour week job if they don't have to. But Sanchez doesn't mind. It is just something that was in my DNA. Yeah, you just really also have to think about it. Like, money is definitely not everything. Money is definitely not everything that you need in life. You can also make 60K a year and just be really happy. And I think you would then just feel way better than having 1 million a year and feel really bad about it, and feel really bad in general, whether it be health related or whether it be emotionally and or physically related. Yeah, I don't know. I would actually go for happiness rather than money. And I do really hope that I'm going to do this in my life as well. There is actually some chance that I'm not going to do it just because I do just want to get rich just for the sake of being rich. Just because it is something that not everyone was able to do. And everyone was like, it is so tough to be rich and whatever. I just because of this fact, just because of that, I'm really willing to get rich and become rich. And I'm also going to work on it. Obviously I'm going to work on something that I like to do, like the podcast. It would just be insane, to let this be my day job. Sitting here recording some episodes, trying to get the best for you would really be great, I guess. Because I actually like to be in charge. I like to be in charge of my of my journey, of what I'm able to do here. I like to just be in charge, something that I've seen over the past few years, I guess. I really like to do that. But yeah, I don't know if I should actually go through and core a question, but I somehow feel like no. I really do somehow feel like nah. So this is gonna be the end of the episode. This is going to be the end of the episode. I do hope that you've gotten something out of it. I do hope that there's something interesting in it for you. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered. So basically, your legacy. The thing with legacy is that no matter how nice you are and no matter how generous you are, there's still going to be someone that dislikes you or maybe even hates you, which is not good. Not good. But the thing is, you can't do anything about it. Like, most often, it is then just about the other person, not really about you. And yeah, what should you do then? Should you actually change for 1 or 2 or 3 person or people, so that they actually like you? Nah, I guess not. I think it wouldn't be a nice idea, would it? But yeah, also think about your purpose, and 3 questions that might help you with that are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And the third one is: what is bothering you the most? Because often businesses started with this thought, often, people having something that is really bothering them. And often it is also the case that it is not only bothering them, but also just a really big amount of other people. And then if they solve it, or if you solve it, you're having a business, and that's it. And also this might give you a purpose in life, having your business and whatnot. But yeah, I wish you the best, and I hopefully see you the next time. So please subscribe to not miss out on anything, and also subscribe to the podcast. Rate the video and rate the podcast would be amazing. To actually have feedback once in a while would just really be amazing, and it would really mean the world for me, or to me, if you subscribe to the YouTube or subscribe to the podcast. I wish you the best, and I see you hopefully the next time. Bye.